I think that's pretty much it, Michelle. You want some buttermilk? Welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today's show's all about buttermilk. I love buttermilk in pancakes, and it's really good for baking all sorts of things from cupcakes to regular cakes. But when you start to get a little bit low, you've either got to go out and buy some new, or you can just make your own. It isn't difficult to make. Just keep a little bit. This one's empty. This one's got probably about an inch or so of buttermilk left in it. That's quite enough to reculture this cultured buttermilk and make your own buttermilk at home. Simple ingredients. You want a good quality milk, not something with sort of low percentage of fat, but something that's full cream. This one's an unhomogenized, so it's a really nice milk. And I've got about a litre left in here, about 2 pints. That's how much buttermilk I'm going to make in this recipe. So we just want to pour our full cream milk into any sort of open top container. And now we're going to take the cultures from this and add it to our milk. Now we could have added the milk straight into these containers, but they really need to be sort of cleaned each time you use them. That's why I'm doing it into a clean jug. In order to grow these cultures, you really just need a small amount of buttermilk, maybe about 1/4 cup or so into a litre, or 2 pints would do just fine. I've got probably about an inch or so left. I'm going to use most of this, and I'm just going to add it in to the top of my full cream milk. Now traditionally you may know that buttermilk is a byproduct of making butter, so it's the whey that's left over when you make butter. When you buy it in the stores, they often add a little extra cream back into it, so it's a little thicker, but it's got that lovely cultured flavour. So basically when you make butter, you take all the butter fats out of the milk or cream. And when you decide to make buttermilk again, you want to add some creams or fat back into it. And that's why I'm using a full cream milk, if that makes any sense. Buttermilk also is a great mesophilic starter culture for making cheeses as well. And that's what I'm going to be actually using some of this to do in an upcoming episode. So check that one out. What exactly do I mean by mesophilic? Well, there are two types of cultures you tend to use in cheese making. One is a thermophilic, one is a mesophilic. One likes a hotter environment, one likes a cooler environment. And when I say hot, the temperatures are actually quite low. Anyway, we'll be doing more about that on the channel at a later date. Now I'm just going to take a clean whisk. I'll give this a little stir through just to get the cultures evenly distributed. It's not so important, just a little stir will do. And we're just going to cover the jug over. You could put an elastic band or a little bit of string around if you want to, but all we're trying to do is keep the bugs and critters out. Now, in order for the cultures to grow in the milk, we need to leave this out on the side at room temperature, probably for about 24 hours, maybe a day, day and a half at the maximum, and you will see that the milk will start to thicken and you'll have something that smells and tastes just like the original buttermilk. So this morning I had a little look at the buttermilk. There were little bubbles forming on the top, so the cultures are starting to work. I had a little taste, got a clean teaspoon, had a little taste. It's getting that buttermilk flavour, but it wasn't as thick as I wanted, so I've left it till this evening, so it's been another sort of several hours. But if you take a look at this now, so I'll just take the elastic band off and take the cheesecloth off. You can see those beautiful bubbles that started to form, little bubbles here. That's the culture starting to grow. And if I get a spoon, just look at this. Look how beautiful and thick the cultures have become. It doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell like off milk. There's a beautiful, rich buttermilk smell to this. And if you give it a taste at the moment, oh man, it's almost like a yogurt with a slight tartness to it. It's really delicious. Fresh made, homemade, beautiful buttermilk. And what I would do with this, because I've got a whole litre of buttermilk now, I'm going to either use it in upcoming baking videos, which you'll see on Steve's Kitchen, but you can also put this into ice cube trays, freeze it up. It stores for months and months if you decide to freeze it. Also, I can just take that original buttermilk container, which I've cleaned and sterilised, and I can pour some of it, let's say, look, oh, this is so thick. Now expect to get those little clumps and lumps in there. It's normal for buttermilk, but trust me, this is rich. It's fresh tasting. Now, if you want to, you can store this, put the lid on, store it in the fridge. It's probably normal buttermilk storage, maybe 3 to 5 days now it's been opened, but I'm going to freeze most of this and use it in upcoming recipes that I have planned for Steve's Kitchen. Super delicious homemade buttermilk ever so simple. Keep that culture, by the way, when you get to the end of this, keep a little bit in there if it still smells fresh and clean. And sometimes the actual bottle can smell a little bit off, but if you pour it out into a container and it still smells fresh and clean, use that as a starter for new and fresh buttermilk, and you'll never ever run out. Now, before you leave today, I want to have a little chat about some of the benefits and why you might decide to make your own buttermilk at home. It's actually the next morning. I've been thinking about this all night, and you know, if you just go and Google what are the benefits of buttermilk, and you'll see cultures around the world that use buttermilk for all sorts of health reasons. It's a probiotic, really good for the gut. One of the big pluses of making your own buttermilk is a bottle of buttermilk like this, a good quality buttermilk, will set you back maybe $3 to $5 here in Australia, and I've made a whole litre of buttermilk for probably about $1.50. So you can basically use this at home. Still smells beautiful and fresh this morning. And you know, think about those Yakults and all those probiotic drinks that you can buy in the shops and just how much they cost. Now, this is lumpy. It's a little bit sort of gloopy looking, but it smells fresh and it tastes a little bit sweet. You don't need to add sugar or fruit into this. Don't forget that lactose, just like glucose and fructose, is a sugar in itself, so it's going to have its own sweetness. Now, I'm going to have a glass of this morning, just see how beautiful and fresh it still tastes. Oh man, that is so good. And because I've made it myself, I don't have to worry whether I have a big glass or small glass. It'll certainly, as I say, last 3 or 4 days, 5 days perhaps, in the fridge like this, and just save a little bit and start all over again. Get some comments going down. Let's have a little chat about this in the comments. Share your thoughts with everybody, and share this video also if you like to inform people about the great qualities of homemade buttermilk. I'll see you in another video very shortly. Take care. One more important thought that I had. Now, there's a trend out there at the moment to be using raw milk. Please don't use raw milk to make buttermilk. One of the things that's important to know is that we're setting this in a room temperature where it's perfect for the growth of the buttermilk cultures. Now, raw milk is not pasteurized. There is a chance, there is always a little chance, that there could be some bacteria in raw milk, and you are setting it in a perfect temperature for that bacteria to grow. So go with pasteurized milk that you know is already bacteria free, and then you've just got the perfect environment for the butter cultures to grow and nothing else. And go with a really good quality milk if you can. An unhomogenized milk is really nice, that's what I tend to use, but a full fat, full cream milk is always going to produce you a really much better quality buttermilk. Another little thought. I think that's pretty much it, Michelle. You want some buttermilk? In the same glass?